This is the Xperia XZ Premium, and even though I'm not an enthusiast of mirror finishes, I think it holds on its own. And when I made a review video for this 2 weeks ago, I was definitely more than excited to get my hands on one. Again, this is Dom of Manila Shaker, and this is a full review of the Xperia XZ Premium. As I've mentioned, the mirror finish stands out the most. Being the most unique identifier and all, the signature and aging Xperia shape aids in forming the language. Fronting the phone are the stereo speakers that sandwich the 5.46 4K display. More on that later. Above, the earpiece is lined up with a 13 megapixel front camera, notification LED, and the ambient light sensor. Flipping it over shows the near flat 19 megapixel motion eye main camera, LED flash, and autofocus assist. If there's anything that I love Sony for this, it's going to be the camera button on the lower part of the right side. Along with it is the power/fingerprint sensor and volume rocker. On the opposite end is the pull-out SIM tray that automatically restarts the phone when removed. A noise-cancelling mic and the Type-C port are on the bottom. Finally, at the top is the 3.5mm audio port and another noise-cancelling mic for video recording. My only concern with a glass and mirror-like finish like this are fingerprints. They're annoying to have and even more annoying to remove. Surprisingly, this screen is only 5.46 inches, but here's another kicker. It's the first 4K HDR10 compliant display on a smartphone. It's the same ultra-luminous with the X-Reality engine for enhanced accuracy. Unlike the C5 Premium's 4K display, the XZ Premium's 4K panel runs on 4K 24/7. Even while gaming. At 807 ppi, I couldn't tell the difference in clarity between this and the S8 Plus's display, which has 529 ppi. But for its price, all things considered, the screen size is a nice compromise in exchange for sharper details. Thankfully, there are 3 different color settings, namely Professional, Standard, and Super Vivid mode. Named Motion Eye, it's a 19 megapixel snapper and has the ability to take a moment's worth at 720p at 960 fps, called super slow motion. It is capable of going up to 2160p at 30 fps, with the method of accessing it a bit unconventional. Sony doesn't game on their cameras, and these images prove that. It may be a bit unwieldy, but it does the job well even in 1080p 60 video capture, thanks to steady shot. A secondary main feature is also present, called Predictive Capture. When your camera detects motion, it captures up to 4 images before you could even click the capture button. It goes out of its way by being handy in a lot of high-speed scenarios, provided that you are standing still. The front camera is certainly above average even with just an aperture of f2.0 and 22mm wide-angle lens. 1080p video capture is definitely blogger friendly, considering that there is steady shot. The Xperia XZ Premium is officially the first phone to be announced back in MWC 2017 that would don the Snapdragon 835 chipset. Running the computations is a pair of quad cores, with the first 4 running at 2.45 GHz and the latter 4 at 1.9 GHz. Driving the display is an Adreno 540. Multitasking then is handled by 4 GB of RAM and has 64 GB of internal storage. 4 GB may be enough for most, but powered users will definitely go for something with 6 GB instead. Antutu and PCMark 2.0 scores reinforce the very fact that this is currently Sony's fastest and meanest smartphone. It's flagship worthy, but not enough to do a podium finish. I find it somewhat weird that Antutu sees the display as a 1080p panel. Games such as Real Racing 3, Vainglory, CSR2, Dead Sugar 2, Modern Combat 5, Steppy Pants, and Love Live can be ran at max details, but not at its native resolution. Expect an FPS of above 30 at all times. As I've mentioned, even with a 4K display, this doesn't mean that the games are going to be running at 4K too. They will all run at upscaled 1080p to 4K because native 4K gaming demands a lot of horsepower that not even modern day consoles have. Needless to say, responsiveness is far from being an issue, and the way that the phone feels while on landscape is satisfactory, albeit a bit heavier than most. Sony's Xperia UI may feel a bit outdated for most out of the box, but I still find it respectable and familiar. Sony's own take on counterpart Google apps are good, fitting with the entire user experience segment with the Google Apps tucked away in a separate folder. Honestly, I love unlocking this phone using my thumbprint. That little simulated animation that goes in the background is satisfying to look at while the phone vibrates as I unlock it. Even with Nougat as its base, Sony opted for a page-based app drawer that old-timers and newcomers alike may find a bit more welcoming. My initial worry back then was the battery life. Running a 4K panel is no joke, although more if it's non-adjustable. The 3230 mAh Li-ion package kept this phone alive for almost a whole working day for me, without needing a charge. And that's with GPS and either mobile data or Wi-Fi on. Playing an hour of a graphics-intensive game takes almost a fifth away of the battery with adaptive brightness on. I'm glad that it's not a letdown, but neither it is impressive. Topping it off from 0% took me 2 hours and 36 minutes, which is well within my expectations, thanks to Quick Charge 3.0. The front-facing stereo speakers fell flat playing my band's best cover due to the lack of bass response. However, this design choice means that no part of your hand will cover up any of the speakers while in landscape. Also, using earphones or headphones are going to be leaps better. And as for Sony Bluetooth headset goers, LDAC is supported. It upscales your audio resolution without breaking it, effectively improving overall audio quality. The Xperia XZ Premium is bound to be available at the end of the month at your local Sony stores and authorized resellers with a hefty 45,490 pesos tag. It is available in luminous chrome, deep sea black, and bronze pink. If mirror finishes are your thing, then go get one. I have no qualms about it, but when you do, be certain to buy at least a flip case so that whenever you pull it out in public and there's lots of sources for light, you're not going to be reflecting off the light onto their eyes. For the latest updates and videos, kindly subscribe and turn on the notification bell below. Again, this has been Dom of Manila Shaker, and thank you for watching.